Alright, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Today I'm here to talk about lore. Why? Well, because I did a video yesterday related to lore that has just been released because of end of times, and I noticed that a lot of people are having a little bit of a confusion when it comes to whether this champion is on the Paladins side, where this champion is on the Resistance. By the way, Resistance and Paladins is the exact same thing. I was trying to say one on the Resistance and one on the Magistrate. But there's also champions who are in neither of them, okay? But the question is, which ones are in what part? So I'm going to be talking about each and every single one of the champions that we have up till today, and also where they stay when it comes to their faction. Right, so let's start off with Imani. This one is easy. She's on the Paladin side, at least for now. She was summoned by Jenos because Jenos had a conversation with the moon. She knew there was some darkness coming, and she was the only one that would allow them to actually to stop this darkness. And as such, she and both Jenos, this is also already a little spoiler for that, Jenos also, both of them are in the Resistance on the Paladin side. Okay, so that is pretty much that. She's also the last warder, so a little heads up for some of her background. I'll probably do some sort of like a lore all together where we're staying in time and so on. Right now it's just to actually tell people which one is which in question to sides. So as for Ashe, she's straight up Magistrate. It's not really hard to understand this. She's always been in the military for the Magistrate. She earned her trust throughout the time as basically a war machine, and she's actually the one who killed Terminus, which later on, Terminus was on the Paladin side. We actually got to see that on Realm Divided, the lore video, where you basically see the Terminus and Inara. They're both from the same race. They're both there to help the Paladins, but later on war, Terminus dies to the cannon of Ashe, and then they also get Terminus on the Magistrate side, so another character that you already know that it's from the Magistrate. A little heads up, some people think that the core that Terminus holds on his chest, which is what makes him be, reanimated, is his ultimate, basically. It's not the bullet from Ashe. A lot of people think it is. It is not. That is actually a core created out of dark magic and also crystals, which allows people to actually control the dead inanimated body of Terminus. You can also know that he sort of has a little bit of conscience, but he can't really do much. So he is forced to be on the Magistrate. So we already have two more for the Magistrate, Ashe and Terminus. Now, Grock. What is Grock? Is he on the Magistrate or on the Resistance? None of them. He's actually fighting for his tribe. He was the person who got striked by lightning multiple times. He survived, he gained the power of thunder, and he became the chief of his tribe. And now he fights on the war for his tribe. So whichever side is on more to their side, it's basically where Grock stands. So if Paladins, for example, the Resistance is to come ahead and say, wait, we are on your side, we want to protect you and so on, then maybe he's on the Resistance side. But if the Magistrate comes up and says, hey, we'll keep your tribe left alone, we'll leave it in peace, we just need you to help us, then Grock can actually be part of Magistrate. To be honest, he's not on any one of these two sides for now, because there's not really a side. He's basically fighting for his tribe. So that's Grock. Now Leon, pretty easy. She's on the Magistrate side, but she's also sort of been called. She's not really Magistrate. What happens is she has a throne of her own. It's like a guild or a nation, if you want to call it, the throne of the Ruby Throne. And basically, the Magistrate called all the honor, the loyal, the big parties that are actually supposed to always been helping them and always being their allies. So pretty much Leon is one of them. As this is pretty obvious, Khan is also there. All right, Khan and Leon, both of them are in the Magistrate side. If you guys remember, they were actually the ones who were in bed with the mission of trying to get Jenos on their side, but Jenos already had sort of his idea after talking to the moon and so on. So it was pretty much settled. So that was that. Now, Moji. Moji actually is not on any one of the two sides. Moji is actually fighting for her tribe, pretty much like Grock, and the tribe is the rabbit like Leporti, and she wants to fight in the war in order to make it end. She's going to try to fight for the right side, and although you may say that means that she's on the resistance, it may not be that, because if you kind of think about it, the magistrate is viewed as the bad people, but they're actually the people who say that the common folks should not be allowed to hold power, should not be allowed to hold crystals because they bring destruction and so on. The resistance says, no, I believe everybody has the same rights. Okay, so one is more for the people, the other one is more for order and laws and so on. So we sort of here see that it's not that the magistrate is bad, it's just their ideas are different from the people from the resistance, okay? So Moji doesn't have a side, she's just basically trying to help on finishing the war and then come back one day and actually restore healing her entire tribe back. So Androxus is in neither side, to be honest. You can even say that he's more on, a lone wolf almost, because he was a lawman. He was a former lawman working with Lex on both capturing, criminal people and so on. But then they had a case where they went against a goddess. Some people say that he actually managed to kill the goddess. Some people say that he didn't. But the problem is he got kind of cursed when fighting that goddess, and he became actually the top one on the priority list of the hunted criminals for Lex. And Lex, he has always been for the law, so he said, no, I am going to hunt you down, even if it is dead or alive. So Androxus is in neither one of the sides. It's more to the Abyss side, if you want to say it like that, but it's not even Abyss, it's more like a curse, he's just on his own. Lex, on the other hand, is literally on the magistrate, because law and so on, it's all magistrate. It's like the government, so he's on that side because of the law and so on, not because he views the things that the magistrate is going against the resistance is actually correct, okay? It's just because he does follow the law and so on. He's a lawman, so that's it. Barik, he's on the resistance. He wasn't the magistrate. He was a big engineer. He also was the one who gave the wings to drogoz, okay? But he just started seeing that the things back at the magistrate weren't actually correct, weren't the best, so he gave up, got out of there, gone to help the resistance, and that's pretty much it. He's on the resistance. Bomb King, no side at all. He was actually created by a queen that wanted to protect her her castle and so on. So they created an army of bombs, but the problem is this bomb was the biggest bomb possible. It was actually an accident, which turned out to be the Bomb King. He ended up destroying everything pretty much, and then in the end he just said, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to see all the kingdoms that I own, because he was delusional, actually thinking that everything was his. That's why he names himself Bomb King, but pretty much that's it. He's not on any side whatsoever. At least for now. He may actually be on the future. We're going to have to wait to see. Buck is on the resistance. He was also on the armor for the magistrate for a while, but then he gave up. He went and studied with the monks up there. He actually studied with Jenos, and when Jenos came back, he even gave him a little glimpse of what the universe was like and what he saw. And so Buck went to the resistance to help them for the greater good. As Cassie was actually cursed. She couldn't leave her family, apparently. Something, maybe she was forbidden of leaving the land by a curse. Seris helped her. She decided she wanted to do for the greater good, so she went for the resistance. Dredge is pretty much not on any one of the sides. He pretty much died stealing something from the Paladins, which was the gloves from Imani, and the Abyss helped him getting back up. So he's pretty much for the Abyss side, I would say. Almost like pretty much Seris, but Seris is a different story, and I'll explain that in just a couple seconds. Dredge is for the Abyss side more than anything else, and to be quite honest, he's more on his own, sort of. He goes on the oceans, he does whatever the hell he pleases, and nobody can stop him. That's pretty much it. Drogoz is on none of the sides. He was basically a dragon with a problem that he was born without wings, but he's still a dragon. If you do read the lore, it is basically saying that he's like one of those dragons without wings, but he's like that. He's not that specifically. He's actually a dragon. If you continue to read it, it will tell you that it's a dragon, but he's not on the Paladin side, and he's not on the Magistrate side. He got out of the tyranny of the big dragon, and he decided to go on his own and became basically destroy everything and steal everything, do whatever the hell he pleased. After Barik actually gave him a couple of wings, we would have expected for him to actually be on the Paladin side, since Barik is there. Maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe he'll say, you know what? I'll help the Magistrate, not the Magistrate, the Resistance, because Barik is there and I owe him a favor. So we'll see that in the future as well. Eevee. Eevee is not in the Paladin side, but it is versus the Magistrate. For some reason, this little witch, she entrapped ice element, and so that's her power pretty much. She was cast away from her homeland, and basically she decided to use her magic versus the Magistrate. Don't ask me why. Maybe it was actually the Magistrate who cast her away because she harvested that power and they didn't want people to have power. So may have been that. Maybe that's why she's against them. Fernando is on the Magistrate side. Unfortunately, that's actually one of the things that I was not expecting, because I always liked Fernando a lot. But yeah, basically he's on the Magistrate side because he's seen as nobility, although it's false nobility, because he did work for a knight. The knight died and he took on his armor and on his role and so on falsely. Okay, he's not a real knight. He's a self-appointed knight. He was never actually given the role. But when they call it the nobilities, he was also on that list, so he pretty much now he's going to try to prove himself. So Fernando is on the Magistrate. Furia was not supposed to be on the Resistance, but she is. She's more on the Abyss side. She's more like an entity, a different entity to fight the Abyss. So pretty much she's also against Dredge, to be quite honest. But most of her mission, her life mission, is to try to save Evie, which, you know, it's the which is seris, and that's another story. That's the thing that I wanted to mention. So seris is supposed to be on the Abyss side, not Magistrate, not Resistance. But the question is, it also says on her lore that she pops up, you know, in different times and different places, depending on what she is planning. She has her own plans, and she may be the reason why the so-called darkness that Jenos said that it was coming. She may be this whole, you know, entire reason why it's actually coming, and she's actually doing all the preparations for that. We don't entirely know. All we know is the lore for Furia and for seris is not yet complete. I did talk to Alyssa recently. I asked her about that, and she said, you know, there's more lore about it, but she didn't tell me if it was already in motion, like, for example, maybe End of Times is actually related to this, or if it's actually coming in the future. I'm guessing it's coming in the future. We're going to have to wait and see. So Furia, Resistance, seris, none of them. More for the Abyss than anything else. Grover. Grover's on his own. He's against the entire man. And it doesn't matter if you're Resistance, Magistrate, or what the hell you are. He just is against every type of human being that has been, you know, industrializing and so on, destroying the forests. And he's pretty much on the side of nature, okay? When we look at Inara and Terminus, they were on the side of nature and, you know, their land and their species, which, by the way, they were created for the purpose of helping. That's a different matter. Grover is an entity of its own. He's a one person of his own. He was sleeping for a while. He saw the destruction. He said, no, I'm going against the man. Grabbed his axe and let's go. So that's pretty much it. Inara, again, is on the Resistance side. The story apparently says that she was created for the purpose of actually protecting the nature and, you know, the good side. Eventually, she joined the Resistance, and now she's also on the Resistance after seeing all the destruction that the Magistrate has done. So, yeah, Terminus was with her, but unfortunately died. They collected the body, made him come back from the dead, and actually used him as a weapon now. Jenos, I already said it as before, he's actually on the Paladin side now. Until up now, we didn't know this, alright? Now it's actually confirmed he's on the Paladin side. Khan, I already mentioned before, he was with Leon, so I'm gonna skip that one. Kinessa is actually on no side whatsoever. She was on the army for, you know, the team that was actually a combination of Tyra, Buck, Victor, Strix, Kinessa, and a couple others. And she pretty much said, you know what, I want to do my own, I want to have my own glory. So I'm going to get the hell out of here. I'm going to do bounty hunts. And I'm gonna claim my own name. So yeah, she's now working for whoever pays her the most. So she can work for one side or for the other. So that's it. Kinessa is that. Koga apparently is actually on the Paladin side. He was exiled from the Thousand Hands Guild, which the owner, the leader, is actually Zen. Apparently people, planted false evidences. Zen was against Koga because he got Koga to get in when he was a little child. He had nothing else. He trained him. He was basically his pupil, like his little, his little kid. I'm going to train you. And unfortunately, with time, he was basically turned against Koga, and so Koga had to flee and actually join the Paladin side. But he's always looking for whoever did that sort of false evidence planting and so on. So, yeah. Lex, I already mentioned, Magistrate, Maeve. Any side that pays the most, to be quite honest. She did steal from the Magistrate, but if the Magistrate does pay, she'll go. That's it. So Makoa is pretty much on the Resistance. He is an ancient being, but he's been called to help him. That's at least what the lore says, okay? So Makoa is on the Resistance side. If you don't know what the Resistance is, the Paladins, okay? Don't confuse yourselves. Maldamba is an unknown, to be quite honest. He was basically a warrior who was given powers and said, you're going to the war and just represent us. That's pretty much it. Pip is versus the Magistrate, but it doesn't say that he's on the Paladin side. So you can say that he's sort of neutral. The story says that he's more to create big explosions and just have fun and study and know more and just pursue science and so on than actually healing people. But of course, his kit does allow people to heal people, so yeah, that's how he became a support. But pretty much it doesn't say exactly where he is on this current matter right now. Ruckus is actually on no side whatsoever. He was working as a miner. I can't tell for sure if he was actually a slave or just working for money, for doing his life. He found the crystal belonging to an old golem in the old wars of the... I'm not entirely sure if it was the golems or if it was the goblins or something like that. And basically, by using that crystal on his machine, on his mining machine, it gave it life and it became Ruckus. So Ruckus and Bolt... he became Bolt. He's Ruckus. Ruckus and Bolt basically don't like each other very much, but they decided to do a deal, and so they're just looking for fame and so on. So he's not on any one of the sides. Sarah, as I already mentioned, she's sort of like in the Resistance side, okay? But it doesn't actually say where she is. As I mentioned before, she's not really much on any one of the sides. It's more for the Abyss. So, Skye. Skye is actually on the Magistrate side, and she's a close advisor to Karn. She was part of the nobility, but she decided she wanted rush and, just have fun. So she found that after she started killing people. She decided, hey, I want to be an assassin, so I'm going to start killing people. Magistrate noticed that, got her into the team and said, now you're a close advisor to Karn, and she's actually okay with that. How she actually ended up being close to Zen, fighting versus Koga when Koga tried to got his revenge. I'm not entirely sure how or why, but that's pretty much it. That's there as well. Strix, again, Magistrate, has been in the army even after the team got disbanded because the last mission they had pretty much a lot of people died and Victor took full responsibility for that. But Strix maintained himself on the front lines for the Magistrates. Talus is on the Paladin side. He's always been a little kid, but he gained power throughout time, and he wanted to prove that power by doing what's good and being on the Resistance on the Paladin side. Terminus, as I mentioned before, Magistrate, is being a slave pretty much after he's already been killed by Ash. Not really much there to tell. Torvald is on the Magistrate, pure simple, but he's not like the war kind of guy. He's more into the science. He's the architect of the crystal weaponization and so on, and he wants to go back to work, so he's gonna help out on the war just to see if he can clear it out as soon as possible. Tara is on the Resistance side. She was on the Magistrate, but she didn't like what they were doing, so she just left and went into the Paladins, the Resistance. Victor is on the Magistrate. He did take full responsibility for his last mission as the leader of that team. Apparently a big disaster happened, and so people died, and he took the responsibility. He lost all of his rank, but now he's still on the Magistrate side. Vivian, Magistrate, pure simple, got massive destruction weapons with crystals, like really good weapons, and she's fighting for them. Willow is actually versus the Magistrate and the Resistance. She's actually against everybody that moves. She's pretty pissed. Yeah, pretty much. I think it's more because of her, her tribe of fairies and so on. She's only 3 years old, by the way. It's actually mentioned there. But as a fairy, I'm guessing that's more, for the human years. But yeah, she's pretty much pissed and she's about to kill everybody. So let's go. Ying is on the Resistance side. She used to be almost like a slave to a lord, apparently. But then she fled. She uses her powers of, illusionism and creating clones and so on. And healing people to help the Resistance. So she's on the Paladin side. And Zen is actually the leader of the Thousand Hands. But he'll also be part of whatever pays him better. So he thinks there is more profit in war if he doesn't actually join any of one of the sides. Whoever just wants to pay him to do something, he'll do it, and that's it. So he'll get jobs from both sides, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the sides, guys. There's a couple of people who are neutral. There's people who are against a specific place, but not in the side of anybody. There's people fighting for their own tribes. There's people for Resistance, and there's people for the Magistrate. Okay, so it's pretty confusing right now. I know that the Magistrate doesn't have a lot of people on their side. For example, healers. I don't even think they have a healer specifically right now. Yeah, in case you have any sort of confusion, I'll probably try to leave a list down in the description. So you guys can go and check it out if you didn't understand it in the video. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, have a wonderful time. Bye-bye, guys. See you next time.